good evening, good afternoon, and good morning because somewhere around the world, that's what time it is. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Probably didn't think we were going to have this nice show, but we are definitely going to have this nice show. And tonight, the Wolf Pack, we got somebody we looking at. We got prey we see. And it's K.Harris. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about K.Harris and what the left thinks about her chances. We're going to give you some real, actual, factual thoughts on it. It's that motherfucking time. Oh, wait. Before I can say that, let me say this.
Please be mindful this show is for 18 years of age and older. All copyright laws will be respected, but this show is intended to use the Fair Use Act of it. Thank you very much. Please do remember that the New Right Party channel and the New Red Party show is sponsored by patriots like you. And as long as you're sending these donations, it allows me to create the content that will continue to make these motherfuckers sick. As you were.
Versus the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul Illuminati wanna take it. Versus the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul Illuminati wanna take it.
CEO, bullshit, paying for the pussy, I endorse it. Riding through the city, that's my off.
Please do.
What's good to all you motherfucking deplorables in the building? Tonight, I gotta talk about this bitch, Kamala Harris. This is what I gotta do. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Shout out to everybody in the motherfucking building. And you know, I'm gonna tell you something. If you don't know my motherfucking name at this hour,
make it publicly clear. Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.
Okay.
To protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolf. And it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. You understand?
Bring that back to me.
To protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolf. And it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. You understand?
We already know the government doing fucked up shit. We trying to figure out who can we trust. Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Me. That's who. So, today, Democrats have showed their hand. The Democrats have showed their hand because someone, this Swartz guy, comes out and says he wants to run for president. Says he wants to run for president. And let me just let Tucker say this so I can just tell you what's really being said.
Something we don't tell anybody outside the city is that the only people who really benefit from the presidential primaries are the political consultants who work in them. The candidates themselves almost always finish the experience sadder, poorer, and humiliated. The public, meanwhile, hates the whole thing. They get to spend half a year tormented by the white noise of 30-second attack ads. Only the consultants really seem to enjoy themselves, and why wouldn't they? They walk away rich. For them, it's a great deal. So they've got every incentive to recruit new suckers to the game. Their latest mark is a billionaire called Howard Schultz. He's the former CEO of Starbucks. A pair of slick consultants somehow convinced Howard Schultz that he could be president. So over the weekend, he announced he may get in the race. Here's the twist. Schultz, who is an entirely conventional affluent liberal, said that he is not planning to run as a Democrat, but instead as an independent. Well, Democrats were by this. Boycott Starbucks started trending on Twitter. Michael Bloomberg denounced Schultz. Some on the left were so angry they screamed at Howard Schultz when he went in public. Watch what happened at a book event last night.
Don't help elect Trump, you egotistical billionaire. Go back to getting ratioed on Twitter. Go back to Davos with the other billionaire elite who think they know how to run the world. That's not what democracy means.
Well, in fairness, the heckler did make some solid points. The last thing we need is another egomaniacal Davos moron running the country into the ground. If you sincerely thought Barack Obama did a great job as president, you'd probably be perfectly happy with Howard Schultz at the helm. The problem is nobody really thinks that Obama did a great job as president. They just all feel obligated to pretend he did. Nobody wants to be rude about it. And yet Schultz's problems aren't really related to what he believes, his political positions. His views are really indistinguishable from Nancy Pelosi's views. Schultz's sin is running third party. That's a threat to the one thing that Democrats actually care about. And no, it's not fighting climate change or preserving a woman's right to choose or even protecting those noble undocumented migrants they're always lecturing you about. In the end, Democrats are pretty flexible on all that stuff. They're just talking points. They're transactional bargaining chips to keep their coalition together, whatever. What Democrats really want, what they're not kidding about at all, is political power, the right to run things, the right to be in charge, power. They want it so bad they can taste it. Poor hapless Howard Schultz and his overfunded midlife crisis just got in their way. So they have to crush him. At least one Democrat was honest enough to admit this.
I have a concern that if he did run, that essentially it would provide Donald Trump with his best hope of getting reelected. I would suggest to Mr. Schultz to truly think about the negative impact that might make.
Well, the media were watching and taking notes. Even now, you still hear people refer to the press corps as liberal. But of course, they're not liberal in any recognizable sense of the word. Genuine liberals would welcome Howard Schultz into the race. More candidates, more opinions, more diversity of thought. May the best ideas win. That's what an actual liberal would say. That's not what the media are saying. They're not liberals. They're loyalists. They're party people. Diligent.
They're the Illuminati.
Worker bees toiling from the benefit of their Democratic Party masters. So, of course, they parroted the line precisely. Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times, who embodies this, called Schultz's run reckless idiocy. She didn't even mention his views about anything. She doesn't care. It's irrelevant. The Daily Beast all but accused Howard Schultz of racism because that often works as a line of attack. Quote, the Starbucks music store under Howard Schultz was painfully white, read a story today. Whatever it takes. And of course, the dummies on TV news read their talking points faithfully. Watch.
He may run for president as an independent. Democrats fearing he could help President Trump win re-election.
Democrats are uneasy.
He could take away votes that would go to the Democratic nominee.
Democrats warn he could cost them the White House.
Democrats fear that could be disastrous for whoever is the Democratic nominee.
Democrats on the left are freaking out today about Howard Schultz trial ballooning this. Is that if he were to split the anti-Trump vote, that's a conceivable path up the middle for Donald Trump.
Oh, Trump might benefit. Well, there's another way to look at the Democratic hysteria over Howard Schultz getting into the race, and Mark Cuban, of all people, summed it up pretty well today. Quote, if 21 months before an election you don't believe your candidate's platform is strong enough to win an election with independent candidates, you might want to rethink who you support.
And let me tell you something. There's a reason why these individuals are worried the way that they are. And it's because Kamala Harris is a fucking dirtbag, okay? She's a fucking piece of shit. Reacted tonight. I'm reacting. I hope y'all reacted. I hope y'all ready.
So, we've had Kamala Harris forced on us endlessly. So, I mean, over it's been weeks. I never heard of her a few weeks ago, and now every corporate Democrat is like, Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris. Oh my God, you gotta see Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris. See the new Kamala Harris movie? It's coming out. It's incredible. It's 3D. So I went on Twitter to see what Kamala Harris stands for. One of the first tweets I see was, we need to put an end to the prison industrial complex that profits off the imprisonment of millions. Incredible. That sounds great. I'm all for that. But then you look into it, and it turns out she has all kinds of connections to the police state, to our prison industrial complex. At least 10 police groups donated to her re-election campaign for Attorney General in California. And she had the endorsement of at least 4 dozen law enforcement groups. In 2014, judges passed a law that would release inmates early due to overcrowding. But lawyers for Kamala Harris argued in court that if they were released early, they would lose an important labor pool, because apparently these prisoners working day in and day out for pennies, if anything, is more important to California than the actual lives of people who are locked up, often for little to nothing. So she's not cool with releasing these inmates early because they need the cheap labor, and she's hard on crime, right? Well, she's not really hard on crime. She's easy on white-collar crime. She refused to prosecute Steve Mnuchin for his 36,000 foreclosures. Mnuchin violated numerous state foreclosure laws, but, you know, don't prosecute him because he's not the one sewing the Gap sweaters for 4 cents a year. And Mnuchin gave her a little thank you. She was the only Democrat he donated to in 2016. You know, just an unmarked brown paper bag left on her doorstep. In 2015, she also refused to endorse. She joined other law enforcement in standing against body cameras on police officers, which, you know, she said it's not she believes it doesn't require a one-size-fits-all solution. What, you need bigger body cameras for the fatter guys? Or what? What's the problem, Kamala? This is just an easy solution to a lot of problems by our fucking cops that are brutalizing people. Also, when an Oakland police officer shot a man who was running away and was also unarmed and killed him, she refused to prosecute him, because she is consistently beholden to police unions, the police state, police groups. In fact, she even arrested the protesters that were demanding she charge the police officer. Those she has time to arrest, because they're sitting there and they're probably on a hunger strike, so they're very easy to take down. They're weak and tired. She also increased the conviction rate for drug dealers from 56% to 74%. Across only 3 years. We all know the drug war is a fucking scam, all right? It was started...
I want to make sure I put that link in the description for this.
During the Nixon administration, specifically to arrest people in the black community and people in the activist community. It's been a scam since day one, and she's increasing the number of people arrested in the drug war. She also backed a district attorney who falsified a confession and hid lab results. Also, Kamala Harris fought hard, very, very hard, to keep an innocent man in prison. His name is Daniel Larson. He spent 13 years in prison, and when he was finally, after a lot of fighting by a lot of people, including the Innocence Project, judges finally overruled ruled that he should be released, and she then came back and said, no, he has to remain in prison because the paperwork was late. The date is, he was late on the paperwork. She literally said, because he fucked up his paperwork, the innocent man should stay in jail. Harris voted to confirm General Mattis. She called him a voice of moderation and pragmatism. Mattis's nickname is Mad Dog, and his nickname among other military guys is Chaos.
And then he turned around and had to be fired by the president, and why was that? Think about it.
That's what his friends call him. He's a fucking maniac. Yes, she voted with...
I don't know about all of that.
97 other senators, but they're all the same fucking crap shit that's been pushed at us forever. Why would you want to vote for the same pile of shit? How about civil asset forfeiture? Let's talk about that for a second. You guys probably recall that that's when police steal the property of people they've arrested, people they've charged, but sometimes people they haven't even charged at all. They steal their property to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. In 2011, Kamala Harris fought against a bill that would have restrained civil asset forfeiture. Then in 2015, she sponsored a bill that expanded civil asset forfeiture in California. Her top donors include Comcast and Time Warner, who are fighting to kill net neutrality. You think she's going to defend net neutrality when her fucking sugar daddies are the ones crushing it? Let's go on to climate change. When she was Attorney General, yes, this is a good thing. She opened an investigation into ExxonMobil to see whether they defrauded investors for undermining climate science, for trying to make people not believe in climate science, even though they knew the truth. Leaked memos have proven they knew the truth about climate change way back in the fucking 80s. But then, the moment she started running for Senate, she dropped that investigation. It went nowhere. The moment she started running for Senate and realized she needed the money of the oil and gas industry in order to win that position. So she can talk and tweet all she wants about climate change, but she had the chance to hold Exxon accountable and fucking fail. And if the corporate Democrats want to tell you that we have to put her forward because she can win, she can beat Trump, this is the one, this is the golden child. According to a poll a month ago, she would only beat Trump by 1%. That's inside the margin of error. So in conclusion, climate change, drug war, oil and gas, net neutrality, police state, prison industrial complex. She sucks on all of it. She sucks on all of those things. So as long as you don't care about any of those issues, then maybe she's great. Maybe she's one.
She's definitely a part of the Illuminati. She's definitely a part of the process and the people that are pulling the strings, and she's a puppet. She's a puppet.
Kamala Harris is a blatant tool of white supremacy. You don't have to be on a black empowerment kick to understand that. All you have to be is somebody who at least wants a politician who pretends to be consistent at least part of the time. Kamala Harris can't even manage that. The white media realizes that she's...
The reason why I'm playing this, and not to be offended people, but the reason why I'm playing this is because I want you to get an understanding of what black people already know about her. So I gotta go here too.
Clearly a white supremacist too. And her track record is so deplorable, so inarguable.
And we know that the white supremacists are the actual liberals. They are the actual globalists. They are the actual Illuminati. Because at the end of the day, you and I, we don't matter to them. We're not a part of that bloodline.
Inconsistent and reprehensible that they don't have any sort of defense for her. So instead, they've decided to join her in the land of make-believe. They're writing propaganda pieces meant to make excuses for her horrible track record. Now, you've heard a lot about Kamala Harris, and we're going to go ahead and put this into a concise package for you, listing her various crimes and corruption. This is hardly going to be exhaustive, but it should be more or less conclusive. Yes, Kamala Harris has been a blatant anti-black fascist her entire life, but as she tells it, it wasn't her fault. The devil made her do it. And what is the devil these days? Apparently not a person or an individual, but rather San Francisco politics. San Francisco politics are totally dominated by white people, but the white media doesn't blame white politicians. Instead, they keep it vague. Take the white media, for example's LA Times. Right after Kamala announced that she was running for president, they put out a puff piece meant to make her look tough. One of the main gripes that the Democrat voters have against Democratic politicians is that they're weak and they're not coming off tough like Donald Trump, and that voters are not going to vote for somebody who's the same old namby pamby milquetoast politician. Well, the same duplicity goes for the white media. Their goal is not merely to toughen up Kamala Harris's resume, it's also meant to justify the anti-black war that she's been fighting the last 25 years. The white media knows full well that someone's going to bring up her reprehensible record of breaking the law and imprisoning innocent people. In fact, it's going to be something she'll have to deal with several times. So before the issue comes up, the white media wants to frame Harris's malicious anti-black racism as being the necessary results of San Francisco politics. It wasn't Kamala's fault that she was defending every dirty cop in San Francisco. It wasn't her fault that she was defending 3 strikes. It wasn't her fault that she was opposed to legalizing marijuana when you know that the war on drugs is just a war on black people. That's not her fault. It's the cutthroat political environment of San Francisco. She was just a creature of political necessity. It wasn't her fault. They, in fact, not only minimize this lawlessness, they try to portray her lawbreaking as being just a mark of how tough she is. They're trying to take a deficit and turn it into a positive. She gave as good as she got, they wrote. Is this some sort of editorial? Because that's what it reads like. It reads like an endorsement for Kamala Harris. Dang sure not an article. Okay, so her political opponents made personal attacks on her. How did she give as good as she got? Did she make personal attacks on her opponents? Because that would be giving as good as you got. No, instead, what the LA Times does is they list something completely unrelated. Kamala Harris was fined $34,000 for breaching a spending cap limit, which she had promised she wouldn't do. She broke the law and her word. Now, what makes black people think that she's going to be any different with us? And the white media tries to portray this as being a reason to vote for her. Well, clearly when it comes to Kamala Harris, to use the old computer science expression, it's not a bug, it's a feature. That's what it is with Kamala Harris and corruption. With Kamala Harris and breaking the law. That's not a bug in her behavior, it's a feature. She has no conscience. She's a sociopath. I don't care how the white media tries to cover it up or pretty it up, she's not fooling anyone. The LA Times puff piece then goes on to write, that Harris portrayed her entrance into politics not as personal ambition, but as a matter of dedication to fixing a political office that was self-destructive. Gee, that sounds exactly like how Kamala Harris is trying to justify her run for president. This isn't about her climbing the political ladder. She's concerned about families, you see. This is about saving the country from a reckless and irresponsible president. You know who else used this exact same ploy? Barack Obama. Back in 2004, when he was running for the Senate, he was repeatedly asked by the white media if he would serve out his entire term before seeking higher office, since it was obvious that John Kerry was going to lose the election. And on all the Sunday talk shows that Barack Obama went on, he promised that he would serve out his entire senatorial term before even considering running for president. Well, as we all know, only 2 years into a 6-year term, Obama announced his candidacy for president, and it was obvious he was going to. He spent more time out on the road, more time in New Orleans, more time in front of the cameras looking for photo opportunities than he did in Washington, so it was obvious what he was going to do. And what reason did he give to justify his sudden change of heart? Country was on the wrong track, economically and politically, devastated by wars of choice and bad fiscal policies. And Obama, in his infinite selflessness and mercy, had to run for president to save the country from these reckless and irresponsible policies. That's how it is with the self-centered politician. It's not about me, it's about you. So, Kamala Harris hasn't bothered to update her political playbook. She's still running the same plays from 20 years ago and pursuing the same anti-black agenda. The LA Times article goes on to make an excerpt from her book in which she says that the DA's office was being hamstrung by her predecessor. The DAs were undervalued and feeling stymied, and worse, violent felons were allowed to walk free. Now it needs to be noted that Kamala Harris, her first foray into politics, was stabbing the man who hired her for the DA's office in the back. That's how Kamala Harris started her political career. So even if you're white, you really can't afford to turn your back on her. As I mentioned in last week's Sunday address, in 2010, Kamala Harris was accused by San Francisco's public defender of deliberately withholding evidence on dirty cops that could have gotten innocent people out of prison. Cops whose testimony and
hundreds of people.
Investigations led to innocent people being put behind bars for crimes they didn't commit. The
hundreds of people.
Supreme Court said that Kamala Harris had to turn the cops' names over, but Harris refused, saying that the police's privacy was more important than the law. Now, the public defender wasn't demanding that cops hand over their social security numbers or give their home addresses or phone numbers or the names of relatives and family members. They simply wanted the police's service records, which, by the way, should be public access for everyone. That should be public record. Everyone should be able to find out exactly what any police, sheriff, deputy, state police, FBI agent service record is. How many times have they been cited for brutality? How many times for falsifying evidence? How many contempts of court? People should be able to know who the hell is out here supposedly protecting the public. They should be able to see who's been accused of breaking the law or breaking police department policy. Kamala Harris didn't side with the public. She sided with the police. Public defender demanded that Harris, if she wasn't going to comply with the law, at the very least, she ought to show
with the corrupt police department
what prosecutors' policy she was using to justify breaking the law. He called her lack of citing policy unethical. If she couldn't even tell what rules of her own she was sticking to. Harris admitted that there was no policy at her prosecutor's office that justified her not releasing the names of dirty cops. She simply said that she was just refusing to do it. So, under Kamala Harris, the police have a right to violate the law and to falsely imprison innocent people. The police are not to be held to any standard if Kamala Harris has anything to say about it. And it's not me who said it. Kamala Harris said it. And she went to court to enforce this right. So when Kamala Harris talks about violent criminals walking free, she ought to know she was the one protecting the violent criminals and making sure the law never touched them. That was just how lawless Harris was as San Francisco DA. When she became California Attorney General, it became a lot worse. Because as Attorney General, she went to court to try to get nonprofits, in this case Americans for Prosperity, to hand over their donor lists. And what was the justification for this action? Because Kamala Harris's office said they wanted to investigate whether there was any self-dealing or improper loans. So when the public defender demands that Kamala Harris turn over the names of dirty cops who are deliberately sending people they know to be innocent to prison, Kamala Harris goes to court and declares that a cop has a right to conceal their dirty service record. But when Kamala sees an opportunity to undermine a political opponent, she demands that private individuals and groups hand over their list of donors to her. Not because a crime has been committed, not because anyone has been hurt, but because she wants to go over their list and to see who's on it. Kamala Harris' dirty cops records of breaking the law are sacrosanct.
So now, there's no way in hell. You don't understand. Listen. Her becoming president, I have a better chance of becoming president of the United States of America than Kamala Harris. She's going to get beat up. She's going to get beat the fuck up. She's going to get beat the fuck up. This bitch is not going to win. She doesn't have a snowball chance in fucking hell to come out of this shit beating Donald Trump and becoming victorious. It's clearly fucking impossible. Clearly fucking impossible. This bitch has got a better chance of sucking the Queen of England's dick. And we both know she don't got one. Do you understand? I'm not done stepping on her. We got all week to do. We got all week to do this. We got all week to do this. We got all week to do this. Let me get to this kid right here.
And the founder of Whitman Insight Strategies. Bernard, thanks very much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
So I don't understand, or maybe I do understand, and that's why I'm offended, the reaction against Howard Schultz, who, for the record, I think is a dilettante and a buffoon and not what we need. I'm not endorsing Howard Schultz. But the idea that anybody who might threaten the party needs to be destroyed strikes me as kind of a Stalinist reaction. doesn't it?
Let's call a spade a spade. Howard Schultz has no experience, no platform, no constituency, and no reason for running other than a pure vanity play. If he, as I take him at his word, is really a Democrat, he should toss us out in the Democratic primary process, and I would welcome him and welcome that debate. I think everyone else would as well. But let's explore why he's not doing that, because there's another guy in there named Michael Bloomberg who has far more experience, who has a demonstrated record of actually creating constituencies and moving agendas forward, who's devoted years and years and years of blood, sweat, tears, and money to progressive causes like climate change, like gun control, who was a mayor for 12 years of the largest...
Who would take away everyone's in this country's fucking guns. Who in no way, shape, or fucking form whatsoever actually cares about fucking Americans. I mean, this whole shit would turn to a police state if Bloomberg became president.
The most diverse city in the United States, and he has a lot more money than Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz is scared that Michael Bloomberg would get into the Democratic primary and leave no room for him to operate. That's why.
So in other words, he's just the wrong billionaire? Okay. So let me just say, I don't think there's any doubt.
He's the wrong candidate.
Okay, but I don't think there's any doubt about Howard Schultz's commitment to fashionable progressive politics. He turned his own stores into homeless shelters, so that's like the most authentic thing you can do, I think, to prove your bona fides. You just don't like it because his getting in might hurt the party, and I wonder if voters might think, like, who cares about your dumb party? What are the ideas you're proposing? Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe it should be about the issues
totally
and not the
so
party.
Let me explain. I wish the American political system were different, but it's not. Right now, there is no viable room for a third-party candidate to run. I studied this extensively in 2012. Mike Bloomberg studied this extensively in 2016. Ironically, the nation is so divided right now that at this point in time, with President Trump in office, a vote against President Trump needs to go to a candidate that actually has a chance of winning. There is no conceivable place for someone in the middle right now between the two parties. We are so divided.
So what he's saying is, wait, hold on.
That there's actually, ironically, no room left. So get in the process. Get with one of the two political parties.
We are so divided that there's no room left. So what he's telling you is this, people, that the Democratic Party is so fucked up that if someone came out of the blue right now and they went and ran as an independent, although they would lose to Donald Trump, it would guarantee a loss to the Democrat. I hope Howard Schultz does run as an independent. I hope he does get to have his say in this political process. And although we know they're going to get their ass spanked, I appreciate him running and standing up and using his American right to run as he sees that he should. What you're seeing right now is the Democrats are afraid because Kamala Harris is a total disaster. She's worse than Pocahontas because there are over 600 individuals that will tell you straight up and down she tried to have them incarcerated illegally. So there's 600 people that was locked up falsely because of her. She doesn't have, listen, no one's stupid. No one is stupid. The only people that are incredibly stupid is the media, because they keep putting these people up there thinking that these people will have a snowball chance in hell when they honestly don't. When you seen all those people outside around Kamala Harris, that's what the voting block is going to look like for her. Because blacks are not going to vote for this bitch. I'm telling you right now. They're not going to vote for her. Nothing about her family culture shows that she's from the inner city. Nothing that she's done shows that she cares or gives a fuck about the inner city. The only thing her record shows is she was protecting bad cops. That's it. And she was making sure that the prison industrial complex had bodies. That's a fact. I will be going on a radio show. It's I believe it is syndicated too. Let me just get the information. Give you guys an update. Hold on. It is called Midday New Orleans Show with Bernie Cyrus. And we'll have further information on the app you can download to hear the interview. He's pretty big. He has a book that's out right now that's discussing the truth of Abraham Lincoln. I will be on there talking about Sean King, fraud conservatives. I will be talking about our platform, just telling people about what it is that we're trying to accomplish here, explaining the vulgar language, trying to get people to appreciate this approach and understand that there's a need for it because there are individuals and a great number of us out there that are fed up past the point of actually just trying to be nice about it. You can't continue to have people robbing you and killing you and killing your family members and seeing them get sick and die from things that that these people are causing, and continue to hold yourself with the composure of others who are not privy to the information. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is it's fucking really hard to be nice about shit when you know these motherfuckers are trying to kill you. When you understand that there is some sick motherfuckers out there raping fucking babies and spraying shit in the fucking air so your body can be fucked up. Using all type of technology to fuck you over and do all type of shit to you so your mind can be fucked up. You can have Parkinson's disease, a fucking heart attack, all type of shit. Where they outlaw the right to be able to search for natural medicines to heal yourself, or even say that you have the right to try to heal someone because then they'll lock your ass up. Why is it that the people think that a one world government is going to work when you can't even fly anywhere you want right now? How is it that you think that a one world government is going to work when there are so many countries right now at war? What do you think is going to happen to those individuals? They're going to be exterminated as well. There will be no room for error. Allowing Kamala Harris to get in office is saying, Illuminati, we are ready. Put us in ovens. If you see any of these token house niggas get behind this bitch and jumping behind her saying that they want her to be the president of the United States of America, you can for sure know that them motherfuckers are sellouts. Because anybody who knows that this bitch track record is atrocious when it comes to the justice of any fucking minority. The big corporations that fund this bitch are the same corporations that funded Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, George Bush Sr. Enough's enough. All you see is special interests. No one watches the news. No one even believes in fucking voting at this point in time. That's the reason why the left can't get votes. I'll tell you that it's not over for us and there's still a chance because there are FBI agents, like I showed you before, whom didn't know about the Illuminati. We'll get back into that too. Who didn't know about the Illuminati, who wasn't aware of it, had no fucking idea whatsoever. It's to a point where people are either so indoctrinated that they don't even realize that they're helping the people that they're trying to say or that they are against and they want to stop. Because you got to think about this. For those who want socialism to take over, you don't see them clamoring to go to socialist countries. You don't see them leaving to go there, to live there, where socialism is practiced. In fact, you see these people in these socialist countries trying to flee in caravans. None of the socialists will tell you that. None of them will talk about solutions to these problems. Then you got to think about the audacity of the people. Because instead of 14,000, 5,000, 10,000, 7,000 of them marching on the state's capital, forcing the people that govern their countries to do something about it, they would much rather walk thousands of miles up here and force you to take them in. Do you understand? When you're too kind, you're considered weak. People are laughing at us while they sit there and they take advantage of the system, and while we pay out of pocket for it. We're too giving. There are people currently that are out there that need help, and they're not getting it. And it's technically not our fault, because they're not holding the people responsible that's getting the money from us. They're not going to them. Instead, they're coming here by the drones, expecting you to allow them to take the space that you already have, which is already crowded. The rent's already expensive. The apartments are already small. Homeless shelters out here in Colorado don't open up unless it's certain degrees outside, a certain temperature outside. It has to be below freezing outside for them to open at night. And then there's still the amount of beds that's open. So there's countless people sleeping right now outside in snow. In snow. We have people in New York City right now outside sleeping in snow. Do you know how hard it is for an American that has a job, but the job doesn't pay enough to pay all the bills to actually get an EBT card, to get food stamps or assistance? You know how many trips they have to go there, how many visits they have to make before they're actually given assistance? And then they're given the total amount of $200. Sometimes it's $400, depending on how many children the person may have. But do you understand that that shit never lasts a month? There isn't a win-win for people who are going on welfare. Aside from the people that are coming from nations that aren't used to having that much money for food per month. Not only are they taking advantage of the system, but they're flourishing from it. Because this is to a grand scale of what they're used to. Are you kidding me? A lot of people come here and never took a ride in the cab because they never had the money to do so. I'm not against legal immigrants coming here legally. I am against people coming here and taking advantage of me, of you, of everybody out there that's working, busting their ass, for everybody out here that needs help, that was born here. I'm upset for them. When people like Kamala Harris appears out the blue, giving you those I have a dream bullshit speeches, and she gets up there and then she tries to look at people and look out in the audience as if she really gives a fuck at the people she's looking at. The only thing she's in tune with is trying to take control over everything that we have so she can destroy this country. You do understand that this would be the worst thing to ever happen to this nation. And every real Democrat is looking at it and thinking the same thing. Because her track record isn't hard to find. It's quite hard for them to fix. Because there's too many cases of corruption. The people that we've hired year upon year upon year to protect us, to speak for us, have done anything but that. Instead, they've put people who aren't even from this country needs before yours and your families. Instead, they're offering them total education before they offer it to you and your family. And then they're forcing you to pay for it. It's easy to change a Democrat's mind. I can tell you how. Because if they truly care about the country, then you ask them, at the end of the day, do you want to live here? Do you love your mother, your father, your wife, your children, your husband? Do you love going home to where you live and you stay? Is it that bad? And if some people say they can do better, it can be better, then you tell them, show me where it's better. And then when they show you, then you ask them, why haven't you gone there? Why are you here? Because if you want to get rid of the government, if you want to shut everything down and just give it all up to these people, there are plenty of places you can go where you have no power. We get told what to do. There are plenty of countries that don't have a constitution. It's not a republic. In fact, everything that any one of these individuals against Donald Trump is asking for, there's a country they can go to that will provide that nonsense. They have people outside arguing and bickering over shit they have no clue is what they're talking about. None whatsoever. People are going off of emotion and not off of education, not off of facts, not off of research. Howard Schultz runs, and not only does he get more votes than Kamala Harris, he comes closer than she would have if he would have ran as a Democrat against Donald Trump. In fact, Howard Schultz has the best chance of coming close than Bloomberg or Kamala Harris. The reason why black people is not going to vote for Bloomberg is because they already see Bloomberg as a racist. As him being mayor of New York City, he was definitely with stop and frisks. And let me explain something to you. It's not fun to walk down the street with your girl and you just come from a movie and then you have 4 officers dressed like gangbangers jumping out of a Chrysler with guns drawn on you against your head as they push you against the wall so they can pat you down. There's nothing more demeaning than walking with your mother to the store and stepping out the store while she's inside getting groceries to answer your phone and have a gang jump out of a car, drawing weapons on you, forcing you against the floor, searching you for weapons. Nothing cool about that shit. It doesn't make you feel good for your mother to come out the store and see you on the ground and see them searching you with a gun drawn to your head and her screaming, "What did he do?" And they're saying, "We're checking him for weapons." Do you understand? This is the point we've come to, where people are not treated like people, where they're treated like property. No one's going to want Kamala Harris to be president when we all know that the prison industrial complex paid for her whole fucking ride. Helped to get that Senate seat, too. We're going to pick the show up. We know YouTube is definitely hindering the process. And we're going to make sure that it's something that they don't do. We're going to make sure of it. We're going to make sure of it. We're going to make sure that, and I'm waiting for Jada to finish with this damn website. I got to get in contact with her. I tried to call her to see what's up with it. The website should have been up already and running, because it would be better for us to have our platform so we don't really have to worry about so much of the censoring and BS that comes with these platforms owned by the globalists. Stay safe. Stay American. Stay healthy. And I want you to remember. Oh, wait. Well, you know what? We'll get to it. I want to shout out Shannon from the New Right Party. I want to thank you for helping out. It's appreciated. And I want to tell everybody, all my moderators, everybody in the building that tuned in tonight, thank you for being here late with me. We will definitely be on tomorrow, and tomorrow night we will open up the phone lines. I'll get the phone line open again, and we will open up the phone lines and have people calling in. I want to make sure that it's working first. But stay safe, stay healthy, stay American, and remember, fuck the other side, bitch. We don't care.